welcome to another exciting lesson. Today's topic is understanding the market forces of demand and supply. This lesson is suitable for all economics learners, but even more important if you are in grade 10, as it introduces you to two foundational concepts in economics. What is demand? Let's start with demand. Demand refers to the quantity of a good or service that consumers are willing and able to buy at different prices over a certain period of time. In economics, the word demand means more than just wanting a product or service. It extends beyond the simple desire to have something. In economic terms, the inability of households to afford or buy a product or service can show low demand. Because in economics, we want to measure things, we can't say demand is a feeling. We say demand is the ability of households to buy goods because we want this variable to be measured. So if we say we can measure how much people demand something, it means we can measure how much they buy it. Secondly, demand helps us analyze consumer behavior, which is a key part of economics. Now, let's look at the law of demand. The law of demand states that all else being equal, ceteris paribus, as the price of a good falls, demand for that good increases. As prices decrease, more consumers are able and willing to purchase the good, leading to higher demand levels. The downward slope of the demand curve illustrates the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded by consumers, but I will show you the demand curve a bit later in the lesson. Next, let's look at the factors influencing demand. Firstly, we have consumer preferences. Consumer preferences significantly impact demand as they determine the types of products that consumers choose to purchase. For example, are you an Android or iOS fan? Because that determines what kind of phone or computer you will buy. If you like Android, you'll buy a Samsung. If you like iOS, you'll buy an Apple. And there's a big debate going on about which device is better. Next, we have income levels. Income levels affect purchasing power and influence the demand for various goods and services. High-income earning households can afford high-end or luxury products, while middle to low-income households will prioritize necessities. So basically, your income will determine or choose for you what you can buy or what you are able to demand. Next, we also have the price of substitute goods. Prices of substitute goods can affect demand. If the substitutes are cheaper, consumers may switch from their normal preference. For example, if you walk into a supermarket and then they say, if you buy 2 Pepsis, 2 liters, you will pay 10 rands. Won't you buy that? I would choose that even if I normally drink Coke. So if the substitute good is cheaper on that day, people are more likely to buy the substitute good just because of the price. So prices of substitute goods also affect demand. Next, we have the demand curve itself. So as you can see, it is a line that moves from left to right, and you will also be required to draw this in some of your tests or exams. The inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded can be illustrated through a downward sloping line from left to right. We call this the demand curve. Quantity demanded is represented on the x-axis, which is the horizontal side of the graph, while price is on the y-axis, the vertical side. Let's look at the demand curve in action. Let's imagine that this demand curve shows us the negative relationship between the prices of handbags and quantity demanded at each price point. When the price is reasonable at $10 per bag, we see a high demand of 200 bags purchased. On the other hand, when the price per handbag increases to 20 rands per bag, we can see the quantity demanded decreasing to only 100 units. So again, the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded of the product. The lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded. As you can see on this graph, we have arrows that are facing downwards or going to the side. When you are required to draw a demand curve, you also have to show the arrows and show us the direction of quantity demanded moving or price moving. Now, let's look at the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded in more detail. Let's look at the price decrease effect first. When prices decrease, consumer demand typically increases as more people are willing to purchase the good. This is why store discounts and specials are a popular strategy for increasing sales. Think about things like Black Friday. When it's Black Friday, people will buy things even if they don't necessarily need them, but they will buy because they can afford them due to a decrease in price. Next, let's look at the price increase effect. On the other hand, rising prices generally lead to a decrease in demand as consumers become less willing to buy. For example, dealerships that sell luxury cars do not expect to sell a car every day because they are aware that not everyone can afford a Ferrari, for example. Due to such a high price of that particular product, demand is typically low. And as we said, in economics, demand is how many people can afford this particular product. Now, let's move on to the second market force, which is supply. In economics, supply refers to the quantity of a good or service that producers are willing and able to offer for sale at different prices over a certain period of time. It is one of the fundamental concepts in economics alongside demand and plays a crucial role in determining market prices. The law of supply states that as the price of a good or service increases, suppliers are willing to produce and sell more of it. Conversely, if the price decreases, the quantity supplied usually decreases. So we can see that consumers have a different behavior towards price when compared to producers, as we can see in the law of supply. Next up, let's look at the factors influencing supply. Firstly, we have production costs. Production costs play a significant role in influencing the supply of goods. Higher production costs can reduce supply, while lower costs may increase it. When we talk about production costs, these are the expenses that a business has to incur in order for them to produce a good or to provide a service. These might include rent, the raw materials that are needed for the production of the good, and the labor expenses to pay workers. Next, we have technological advances. Technological advancements can enhance production efficiency, leading to increased supply. Innovations can also introduce new products to the market. These days, we have AI technologies, which might make certain production processes simpler for the business, and as such, increasing production. Factors influencing supply also include the number of sellers. The number of sellers in the market can significantly impact supply levels. More sellers typically lead to increased competition and greater supply. There is a direct relationship between price and quantity supplied, while there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. Quantity demanded shows the behavior of consumers who want to save, while quantity supplied shows the behavior of producers who want to maximize profit. So there is an incentive to supply more when the prices are high. Higher prices create an incentive for producers to increase the supply of goods so they can maximize their profits. Understanding the direct relationship between price and quantity supplied is crucial for analyzing market dynamics. Producers make informed production decisions based on the relationship between price and the supply levels. Now let's look at the supply curve. We can see that it is different from the demand curve, which has a line that goes from left to right. The supply curve shows the relationship between price and quantity supplied in a market. It helps visualize how supply changes with price fluctuations. Each point on the supply curve represents a specific price level and the corresponding quantity that producers are willing to sell. Understanding the supply curve is essential for analyzing market dynamics and predicting producer behavior in response to price changes. Next up, let's look at market equilibrium, which shows us how the market forces of demand and supply interact in order for prices to be determined. Equilibrium represents a balance between supply and demand in the market, ensuring stability. At equilibrium, the amount consumers want to buy equals the amount producers are willing to sell. Producers adjust their supply to meet the demand of consumers, achieving market equilibrium. Let's look at the effects of changes in demand and supply on equilibrium. An increase in demand leads to a higher equilibrium price and quantity, reflecting greater consumer desire for the product. When supply increases, the equilibrium price typically decreases while the equilibrium quantity rises, indicating more product availability. Shifts in demand or supply curves illustrate the dynamic nature of market equilibrium, affecting prices and quantity. Let us analyze the importance of the equilibrium point. Demand and supply curves represent consumer desire and producer willingness to sell, dictating market behavior. The equilibrium point shows where the quantity demanded equals the quantity supplied, determining market stability. At the equilibrium point, the market price and quantity are established, facilitating smooth transactions. As you can see on this graph, the equilibrium price is $2 and the equilibrium quantity demanded is $7. This is the middle point where supply meets demand. In conclusion, the law of supply helps us understand producer behavior, which is highly motivated by profit making. The law of demand helps us understand consumer behavior, which is motivated by fulfilling needs and wants, and consumer behavior is also motivated by wanting to save and maximizing the income of households. Remember, there is a direct relationship between prices and quantity supplied, while there is an inverse relationship between prices and quantity demanded. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next lesson.